So let's get into it. I want to start with a feeling, a really persistent, nagging sense that I think a lot of us have.
What's that?
It's that feeling that, true prosperity, whether it's financial security, creative freedom, whatever, is always just a little bit out of reach.
Right, like a signal you can't quite tune into.
Exactly. And it's not just about, paying the bills. It's this deeper feeling that the actual blueprint for success is, well, that it's hidden from you.
That longing is real. I think it's the friction you feel when your external world, the daily grind, the missed opportunities clashes with what, deep down you're capable of.
Absolutely. And that is our mission for this deep dive. We're going to challenge this idea that abundance is just, capricious luck.
Or being in the right place at the right time.
Yes. We're going to try and extract the principles for clearing those mental dams, the doubt, the fear that block the flow of abundance from its true source.
Which is within you. And to guide this, we're really leaning on the philosophy of James Allen. He was this quiet visionary from the turn of the 20th century.
And his big work, As a Man Thinketh, right?
That's the one. It basically established the mind as the master gardener of our reality.
And his background here is so important, isn't it? I mean, he wasn't some wealthy philosopher. He knew real hardship.
Oh, intimately. He lost his father. He did years of manual labor, struggled with poverty. He discovered these principles from the inside out, concluding that circumstance grows out of thought.
That's the core concept right there. Allen says the mind is the master weaver. It weaves both the inner garment of character and the outer garment of circumstance.
So if you want to change your life, you have to look at the source code, your thinking.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Most of us start this journey feeling, well, shrouded in what he calls a thick mist of limitations. The routine grinds you down. Scarcity colors every choice.
That's the uncultivated territory. And this is where his garden analogy is just so practical. He says your mind is exactly like a garden.
You can tend it or let it run wild.
Precisely. But either way, it will produce something. If you neglect it, you get the weeds, lack, struggle, fear.
But if you tend it,
you get joy, strength, and plenty. Diligently.
So the first step isn't about hustling harder on the outside. It's about recognizing that your external life is just a reflection of the seeds you've let take root inside.
Yes, and Allen himself had to do this. The sources show he literally retreated to the countryside to get away from the noise and just observe his own thought.
The good and the bad.
All of it. That observation is the awakening. You have to recognize that divine spark inside you that he says is worthy of abundance. So many of us have internalized these beliefs that success is for other people or money is scarce.
And you're just planting weeds without even realizing it.
Exactly.
So for you listening, a really practical step here is just compassionate honesty. For 5 minutes a day, identify one limiting belief you carry. Maybe you inherited it.
And just question it. Ask, is this really mine or is it a weed I just let grow?
By doing that, you're starting to clear the soil.
You're creating space for the right seeds.
Okay, so that sets the foundation. But how does this quiet internal work translate into, massive, tangible outer empires? Let's get into the people who proved it works.
We have to start with Andrew Carnegie. He's the perfect example of planting a clear, dominant aspiration.
Born into poverty in Scotland, 1835. Arrived in Pennsylvania with nothing.
Less than nothing. He was a teenager working in a cotton factory for, pennies. A bobbin boy in these brutal conditions.
The easy path would have been just to accept that reality.
But he refused. The material shows he just educated himself relentlessly at night. He borrowed books from this man, Colonel James Anderson, who had a library for working boys.
So he was absorbing knowledge, sure, but he was also nurturing an internal vision, wasn't he?
That's the key. He developed what Napoleon Hill later called a definiteness of purpose. Carnegie didn't just want to be rich. He mentally rehearsed a future where he dominated the entire steel industry.
Long before he had a dime to invest.
Long before. And what's so fascinating is how Allen explains the mechanism here. He says the subconscious mind is totally impartial.
It doesn't judge the seeds.
Nope. It just grows them. So when Carnegie consistently planted these focused, organized thoughts of a steel empire, the subconscious just got to work building the blueprint.
For another, maybe even more profound example of this, we have to look at Nikola Tesla.
Oh, absolutely. Born in 1856, he had this mind that was, it was plagued by hallucinations and visions. Arrived in New York with 4 cents in his pocket.
And he ended up digging ditches for Edison, who then cheated him out of a bonus.
A lesser person would have just collapsed into bitterness, a victim mentality. But Tesla's genius was how he could fully internalize his work. He would visualize his inventions.
Like the AC motor.
Right, but in absolute meticulous detail. He would mentally run the motor in his head. He could feel its functionality, the energy flow, and refine the whole design without ever touching a tool.
That mental rehearsal, that feeling of it being already complete, that's what Alan called calmness of mind.
Exactly. It's a profound serenity, even with chaos outside. His mind was the lab. And that clarity is what eventually attracted George Westinghouse and, electrified America.
So the step for you, the listener, is to elevate your visualization. Don't just picture the goal. Infuse it with the emotion of it already being achieved.
Don't just see the money.
Feel the physical relaxation that comes with it. Feel the freedom, the security. That emotional energy is what makes the seed sprout.
Okay, so if the vision is the seed, the next big challenge is sustaining momentum, guiding the focus as things start to happen. This is where Alan says, and I love this, you will become as small as your controlling desire, as great as your dominant aspiration.
That relentless direction is so critical because momentum, it brings resistance, doesn't it?
Always. Wernher von Braun is a perfect case study here. He was obsessed with space exploration. It was his dominant aspiration.
He started with what, a toy wagon and some fireworks as a kid?
Yeah. And despite all the political and professional challenges he faced after coming to the U.S., he kept that internal trajectory completely unwavering.
So when people said landing on the moon was impossible,
his response was simple. It is the will to do it. It was this blend of pure willpower and imagination. That single-minded focus is what created the Apollo program.
But that path is never smooth. You hit what Alan calls the test of suffering. Financial setbacks, criticism.
Alan argued that suffering is just feedback. It's an indication that your thought is out of harmony with your goal in some way. The test forces you to refine your thinking.
And there's no greater example of this than Thomas Edison.
None. A teacher called him addled. He failed thousands of times trying to create the light bulb, but he didn't see it as failure.
Right, his famous quote, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work."
Which isn't just a clever line about persistence, it is a perfect example of Alan's principle. Obstacles are diagnostic tools.
By reframing failure as feedback, he attracted investors. He refined his character and conviction, which led to General Electric.
And you see this with John D. Rockefeller, too, just through a different lens. He started as a bookkeeper, making 50 cents a day.
Wow.
But he didn't rely on luck. He visualized this enormous oil empire, but, and this is key, he also actively nurtured his cognitive gifts. Reason for strategy, memory for lessons learned.
So it was this dual approach, big vision, but also practical, cultivated intelligence.
He was tending his garden with desire, yes, but also with the right tools.
Which brings us to a really practical takeaway here. Gratitude. It's not just a polite habit.
No, it's a corrective tool. By listing 3 things and genuinely feeling thankful, you amplify the signal of abundance. You correct the mental misalignment Alan talked about.
Okay, so as this work deepens, we hit what you call the forge of transformation. This is where the old scarcity beliefs, they put up a final, desperate fight.
It can feel like intense inner turmoil, but it's in that heat that the greatest achievements are forged.
And Abraham Lincoln's life is just a masterclass in this, isn't it?
Oh, completely. Crushing poverty, losing children, political defeats, severe depression. What he called his melancholy.
He didn't just power through it, he used it. He rose through self-education and this really rigorous reflection. He integrated those experiences to clear his inner blocks.
And that's what made him the leader the Union needed. It proves Alan's point that a noble and godlike character is not a thing of favor or chance, but is the natural result of continued effort in right thinking.
Now let's contrast that with a more modern example. Elon Musk. He has faced just brutal personal struggles, industry ridicule, near bankruptcy.
Over and over again. With both Tesla and SpaceX, constant external noise telling him he was going to fail.
But his ability to keep going comes from this profound attunement to his core goals. He meditates on the physics, the engineering. His dominant aspiration is so clear that the naysayers just become irrelevant.
And that unrelenting mental focus is what attracts billions in investment, even when the rest of the market is screaming no.
So this final stage is alignment. The struggle gives way to flow.
Alan put it so beautifully. He wrote, "The greatest achievement was at first and for a time a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn. The bird waits in the egg. The inner work makes the outer result inevitable.
It's a principle you see again and again.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin runs away at 17, builds a printing empire through self-improvement and reflection. His success was a consequence, not a coincidence.
And that leads to the final practice for you, the listener. You have to live as if.
Don't wait for the evidence.
Exactly. Act from a place of abundance now. Be generous. Approach your work with the confidence of someone whose success is already secured. This solidifies your inner state of plenty.
So, to recap the journey for you, start with Alan's mind as a garden. Define your purpose with the clarity of a Carnegie. Visualize the functionality of your success, like Tesla.
Guide your focus relentlessly, like von Braun, and use challenges to refine your character, just like Edison and Lincoln did.
But we have to end with Alan's most crucial warning.
It's a tough one. He says, "Men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They, therefore, remain bound."
Wow.
The work is internal first. The outside stuff is just the echo.
We've seen these historical figures use mental rehearsal for world-changing breakthroughs. Tesla seeing motors, Einstein visualizing relativity. If cultivating an abundant mindset can have such a predictable effect on one person's life, that leads to a much bigger question.
Right. Can the focused, combined aspirations of a community, or maybe even a whole nation, consciously cultivate a shared abundance?
Could we create a measurable external social force that's as powerful and predictable as a law of physics?
What new forms of collective wealth could we unlock if we all started mastering the cultivation of our inner gardens together?
Something to think about. Keep tending that garden. We'll see you on the next deep dive.